Alrighty, I think we will get started. I'm Jen Williams, so I'm the Vice President of Communications for SENC. And so we were so grateful to meet with Eliza in the summer. She gave us a wonderful little tour of the temporary Senate facilities, which are beautiful. And we were excited to be able to set up this webinar. So we're grateful that you guys are here. And then what we'll be doing is we'll have a recording of this so that if any of your colleagues weren't able to come, we'll have this posted on our website within the next couple weeks so that anybody can access this information. Otherwise, I will turn it over to you. Thank you so much.
Great, perfect. So yes, as Jen said, my name is Eliza. I'm an events coordinator with SENgage, which is the Senate of Canada's Youth Outreach Program. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, evening, depending where you are. I'm very happy to be joining you today from Ottawa, Ontario, the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people who have lived on this land since time immemorial. So tonight's webinar is, as you know, in partnership with the Social Studies Educators Network of Canada, whose goal is to advocate and build capacity for high-quality social studies education. This evening, I will be giving a brief introduction to SENgage, what it is, and how best to use our resources in your classroom. So a few reminders before we start. As Jen said, this webinar will be recorded and posted online, so you can share it with your friends, your colleagues, and reference it after. Today's session will be in English. We will be hosting a French session tomorrow. If you would like information about that, you are welcome to submit a question in the Q&A box, and we will get you the information. There's also information online on the SENgage website and on SSENC's website as well. So as I mentioned, the Q&A feature, we don't have the chat enabled for this webinar, but you are welcome to ask a question using the Q&A. It should be right at the top of your screen. My colleague Madeline will be monitoring the questions. If you have any issues or technical difficulties, feel free to reach out as well. And finally, accessible versions of this PowerPoint and a transcript will be available after the meeting, and they can be accessed by emailing us at sen.parl.gc.ca, and Madeline will put that in the chat as well. All right, so briefly, today we will be going over what SENgage is, how you can invite a senator to your classroom, how you can bring your class to the Senate, as well as an overview of our activity kits and other resources, and a few tips and tricks to make the most out of our resources. So first off, the reason you're all here, what is SENgage? So SENgage is the Senate of Canada's Youth Outreach Program. We connect senators with students across the country, both in person and online. Most often, this looks like senators visiting classes like yours to speak about the Senate and their work. However, we organize many other events throughout the year, and as you'll see, we provide many resources for educators. So a few photos from SENgage events. SENgage officially started in 2018 and has only grown since then. Last year, we hosted 95 events that reached 15,000 youth with 59 senators participating. And this year, we are on track to exceed those numbers. So why should you host a SENgage event? Here's just some of the feedback that we've received from teachers following a senator's visit to their classroom. First, the event was very successful. Since the senator's visit, I've had the numerous positive comments about her presentation. We were so impressed with how she engaged with the youth and took the time to answer their questions. Thank you very much indeed for organizing the guest lecture. What an amazing event. So many questions from the students and great answers from the senators. Such an insightful conversation. And one of my favorites, the kids now know more about the Senate and have a better appreciation of its role than most Canadians. So now you know why you should invite a senator to your classroom, but how do you do that? We've made the process as simple as possible. First thing you'll need to do is go on our website, the SEN Canada website, and click the link that Madeline will drop in the chat or that's on the slideshow, and fill out the form. This form will ask a few questions about your class, what you're looking for in your event, and if you have any special requests or want to meet with a specific senator. Next, you will have a brief meeting with someone from our team. During busy seasons, we ask that you give us at least 6 weeks to process your requests, but we try to be a little faster than that. Within a week, you should receive an invitation to meet with one of the event's coordinators to get more details about your request, and we can answer any questions you have at that time. There are a few documents that you'll need to review, the first being an outreach proposal, which is the document that we send to senators to request for them to visit your class. Following our meeting, we'll send you this outreach proposal with all the details contained in your request. You'll need to review it to make sure that we got all the information right, and then we'll begin to reach out to a senator. Once we've confirmed a date with the senator and with your class, we'll send you a scenario note with further details about the event. These include things like parking information, who will greet the senator, as well as the complete rollout and schedule of the event. Following that, it's up to you to prepare your students. We recommend that you use our activity kits and online resources to teach your students about the Senate ahead of time. Usually, senators will go over what the Senate is and the work that they do, but it never hurts to do a little bit of research beforehand. This way, the students will be experts the students will be experts before the senator arrives, and they can use the discussion time to ask interesting questions they have. And then finally, welcome senator to your class. Whether you're doing a virtual or an in-person event, the senator will be there before you know it. Some more photos from just some of the events we've hosted. Our most popular events, as I mentioned, are school visits, both in-person and virtual. The typical format for an event is a 60 to 90-minute meeting with the senator doing a short presentation on the Senate and their background, followed by a question and answer period. But really, the only limit to an event is your imagination. We're happy to organize the perfect event to fit the needs of your class, whether that's an informal fireside chat or something more hands-on. We've even had senators learn how to start a fire and tie knots with Scouts Canada. Some classes prefer to invite a senator from their region or province, whereas others ask for a senator based on their subject. Why not have a lawyer speak to your introduction to law class or a former journalist meet with your media studies class? So moving to Ottawa, if your school's close to Ottawa or you're planning a field trip here, make sure to add a visit to the Senate to your itinerary. The process for organizing a visit to the Senate is very similar to requesting a senator visit your classroom, although a little bit more involved. First, you'll fill out our online form the same way you would as inviting a senator to your classroom and select Visit the Senate for the type of event. From there, again, you'll meet with our team, review documents the same way as inviting a senator to your class. We'll also need some more information from you, such as a list of participants. Keep in mind that visitors to the Senate must be at least 10 years old, and there must be at least one chaperone for every 10 students under the age of 18. When you're at the Senate, you'll be able to meet a senator in the Senate chamber or a committee room, depending on availability. Following the meeting, you'll take a tour of the beautiful Senate of Canada building by an experienced guide from the Library of Parliament. And if you can't visit in person, virtual tours of the Senate of Canada building are available online. So let's move into our resources, all of which are free. And we have 2 activity kits that are perfect to teach your students about the Senate's role in Parliament. Each kit, Senate 101 and Senate committees, has everything you need to put together a lesson, including lesson plans, slideshows, and Kahoot quizzes. We've created these kits to make it as easy as possible for you to put together an engaging lesson for your students. The Senate 101 kit focuses on the 3 primary functions of the Senate: how senators represent, deliberate, and legislate. The Senate Committees Activity Kit looks at topics such as what a Senate committee is, how committees influence the lawmaking process, and finding the difference between fact and opinion. As I mentioned, the activity kits are free and are available on the Senate of Canada website, and all the materials are stored on the Google Drive for easy access. So here's a sneak peek about my favorite activity from the Senate 101 activity kit, where your students have the opportunity to write an op-ed. This activity helps students understand one of the essential functions of the Senate: senators deliberate. So this activity includes a lesson plan, as you can see on the left, as well as a worksheet that can be given to your students to help plan their article. While students are introduced to a key part of the work that senators do, they'll also develop their critical thinking skills and learn about the importance of consulting experts and credible sources to inform decision making and how to support an opinion with facts. In addition to our activity kits, we have many more resources available online. You'll find educational videos about the Senate of Canada, Senate procedures, and the day in the life of specific senators. There are also online Kahoot quizzes on the Senate of Canada, one for elementary students and one for secondary students, as well as PDF versions of all of our educational publications, some of which you'll see online or you'll see here. No matter the age of your students, there will definitely be something that fits into your lesson plans. A particular favorite of mine and many students is our Senate activity book, which you'll see here, which includes word searches, coloring pages, and fill in the blank activities. We say it's to teach younger students about the Senate, but students in a high school seem just as interested in it as well. Additionally, we can send you hard copies of publications anywhere in Canada for free. Whether you'd like to order activity books for your class, a poster on how a law is made for your classroom, or any of the other materials, send us an email at sengage@sen.parl.gc.ca and we will be happy to send them to you. So finally, to wrap up, here are a few things to keep in mind to make the most of SENgage and our resources. Send your request as early as possible. The summer is a great time to plan for fall, and the fall is a great time to plan for winter. I know that teachers are busy, but we ask that you request an event at least 6 weeks in advance. But the more time, the better, especially if you have a specific date in mind. This will give the best chance that a senator is available and make sure no one is rushing at the last minute. If possible, being flexible on your date makes it more likely that a senator will be able to fit your class visit into their already busy schedule. And as you've seen today, we have many resources available to prepare your students for a visit with a senator. In addition to activity kits, we will send a SENgage prep kit ahead of time, which includes potential questions for your students to ask the senator. And finally, the Senate of Canada is committed to making sure that everyone can take advantage of our programming. If you or one of your students has an accessibility need, let us know in advance. We can provide accessible versions of resources or alter presentations or formats to make sure everyone is included. So that's it for my presentation. Thank you everyone again for joining us today. Don't forget to follow us on social media and sign up for our newsletter on our website to stay up to date on all things SENgage. We try to send out a newsletter quarterly. We still have some time left, so if there are any particular questions, I'm happy to answer them. Or maybe I did such a good job there are no questions.
Has anybody here had a senator come in through SENgage? I'm going to assume that's no. So I've had the opportunity to use them a couple times now, probably about 3 or 4 times. And that's what I really appreciate is that it just makes it real for the students, that lots of times I'll have them prepare ahead of time to ask some questions, that sort of a thing. But what's really great is just there's a human being. And every time we've done it, it's been a Zoom. We just haven't been able to get a senator into the classroom itself. But the students are still engaged, just listening to somebody telling what it's really like to be in government. And that's what I really appreciate about it.
Thank you, Jen. If we don't have any other questions, I will let everyone go. Of course, if you have any questions after the presentation at any point in the future, please feel free to send us an email. You can see online, sengage@sen.parl.gc.ca if I haven't said it enough tonight. And thank you again to everyone for joining us.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Hopefully this was informative.
Perfect. Have a good night, everyone.